Oh, come on, if you know that there's nobody like our God, come on, can you lift up a sound of praise all over the house? Come on, if you know that there is nobody like our God, nobody that can heal, nobody that can deliver, come on, put your hands together, come on. Come on, I need all of my praisers to put your hands on it, come on. Come on, let me see you, come on, clap. It's real simple. All you're going to do is repeat after me. Come on, here we go. Say, oh Lord, you reign. Nobody like our God. Say, oh Lord,
Well, this is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and let us be glad in it. Welcome to Biblecast. I'm E. Dewey Smith, and I'm ecstatic that you've tuned in on today to spend this time with us. It's my prayer that you are blessed and walking in the favor of God. And to everyone who's tuned in today, whether it be Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, Fire TV, YouTube, Facebook, or the various websites, however you've tuned in, thank you for your viewership today. Your viewership means the world to us. And if this is your first time ever watching, I want you to type the number 1 in that chat. If you're watching through a platform that has a chat, a virtual chat, please just type number 1. And that way the members of our Hope Global family will know this is your first time, and they will appropriately welcome you to our family. This is indeed a blessing, a privilege, and an honor that you spent your time with us. Also, if you'd like to get this entire outline of today, you can go ahead to the website and download the Bible study outline. You can actually download it and print it if you have access to a printer and study along with us. We're still in our summer shift series. We'll be finishing this up in the month of August after this month. And so for the month of June, July, and August. And so I hope you've been blessed. It has been a tremendous blessing to us. I thank God for you, and you. And if you're in Georgia looking for an in-person worship experience, you can gather with us every Sunday at 9 a.m. at the Mothership, 4650 Flat Shoals Parkway in Decatur, 15 minutes from downtown Atlanta. At 9 a.m., 4650 Flat Shoals Parkway. We'd love to have you. If you're in Middle Georgia, you can worship with us every Sunday at 9:30, 1909 Woodland Drive. Dr. J.C. Howard is the lead pastor there. Or if you're on the west side of Atlanta, you can meet us in Douglas County in Winston, Georgia, about 25 minutes from downtown Atlanta at the House of Hope West Point, 2837 Campground Road, right there in the heart of Winston, Georgia, Douglas County. So we're excited about your possible worship with us. So thank you so very much. Today we're doing the Summer Shift series, and today we're talking about strange shifts. I want to say a couple of things by way of introduction. We've said this all month long. First of all, we said that we serve a God who is immutable. God is immutable, meaning that God is not subject to change. And so immutable, not subject to mutate. When you see that I am in some of certain words, it negates the suffix. In other words, when you see the word mortal means something that's subject to die. When you put I am in front of it, that means it's not subject to die. Mutable means it can mutate, it can change. Put I am in front of mutable, then you get immutable, not subject to change. It's important to understand the Eastern Orthodox perspective about God that basically posits there's a difference between God's essence and God's energies. God's essence is who God is, God's nature. God's energies refers to how God operates. Who God is constant. How God operates is fluid. There's a difference between who God is and how God operates. Very, very important. That's why God said in Malachi 3:6, for I am the Lord and I change not. Not talking about God in energies, but God in essence. Now, there's a branch of theology called process theology. One of the proponents of process theology was a guy whose name was Alfred North Whitehead. And process theology basically suggests that God is a God who's still evolving. And what process theologians tend to do is to look at the issues in our world today and basically surmise that because the world is ever changing, it must be because God has not fully matured. Brothers and sisters, we do know that God in essence is mature. God in essence, God in nature is not changing, but how God operates can change. Very, very important that you get that. Now, with that being said, it's important to know that God often shifted even his own people, Israel. God was shifting Israel, the darling of his eye, and wanted them to be prepared for the shift. And a great deal of the prophecies of the Old Testament dealt with God shifting Israel from freedom to bondage. One of the significant seasons in Israel's history dealt with when they were going to be shifted into a period called Babylonian exile. And what God did, raised up the prophet, the son of Buzi, Ezekiel, basically to give a vision about the shift that would happen in Israel's history. Nabopolassar's son, whose name was Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar, the leader of the Babylonians or the Chaldeans, would run Pharaoh Necho II out of Egypt in 605 BC. And then they would initiate 3 carryings away of Israel into Babylonian captivity. The first carryings away took place in the year 597 BC, and then in 596 BC. The last carrying away of Israel into Babylon was in 586 BC. That is the 3 carryings away of Israel into Babylon. These 3 carryings away took place during the reigns of kings Jehoiachin and Jehoiakim. And it was during that time that they were made to make brick without straw, a debilitating predicament. Well, the thing about God is so powerful that God sends the prophet Ezekiel to give a word of prophecy about Israel's predicament prior to them ever going into captivity. A powerful, powerful word. God raises Ezekiel and allows Ezekiel to be born. And amazingly, his mother named him God is my strength. When she saw him, she saw Ezekiel's entrance into the world as strength being sent into the world. The irony here is now God allows Ezekiel, whose name meant God sends strength, God allows Ezekiel now to witness and to prophesy about a shift. The shift would not just be for the nation of Israel, but it also would be about Ezekiel's own life. And sometimes God shifts us into strange seasons. God shifts Ezekiel here from strength to shift to a strange season. And sometimes the shifts in our lives may appear to be strange. And I shared this with you on Sunday that when God often sends shifts, they involve several things. Number one, it may involve a spiritual transportation. A spiritual transportation. And that's what happened in the life of Ezekiel. Ezekiel in Ezekiel 37, one of my favorite passages in the entire Bible, as Ezekiel is talking about the nation of Israel and getting a glimpse of what was going to happen to Israel in Babylon for 70 years because of them turning their backs on God, a 70-year period of captivity. But notice what Ezekiel says. He says, the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord. He says, God shifted me. And as we're going to see, it's going to be a very strange shift. But what blessed me here was that the strange shift that Ezekiel was going to experience was going to be propelled by the hand of the Lord. Sometimes in our lives, when shifts take place, I said on Sunday, we don't know if that shift is because of something that was sovereignly produced, something that was satanically introduced, or sometimes self-induced. Sometimes shifts can be the result of the divine. Sometimes a shift can be the result of the demonic. Sometimes a shift can be the result of the decisions that we make. It can be sovereignly produced, satanically introduced, or self-induced. In a real sense for Israel, their shift into Babylonian captivity had everything to do with their apostasy and their hypocrisy. They had turned their back on God. And God wanted Ezekiel to have a glimpse of what that experience would look like. And so God, who sends strength, the name Ezekiel. Ezekiel says that the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord. Ezekiel's going to see and experience something very, very strange. And sometimes in life, brothers and sisters, we too will experience something that's very strange. But the blessing is not to focus on the essence of the strangeness of the happening, but to focus on the one who is propelling that shift. The hand of the Lord is upon me. And what makes the difference is when you and I know who is behind the shift. Oh, God. Even for Israel, even though Israel would be responsible for their shift from Jerusalem to Babylon, even though it was self-sabotage, their own decisions, what I love about it is that God would even keep his hand on Israel. Oh, don't make me run. that in spite of their own stupidity, their chicanery, and their duplicity, that God says, I'm still going to keep my hand on Israel. And I want you to know, brothers and sisters, in life, whether that shift, whether that strange place, you're trying to parse and figure out, is this sovereign? Is it Satan? Is it self? What I want you to know is God is married to the backslider, and God's hands can even be on you in the strangest of situations. And so you be encouraged, because there are times when God wants to do incredible things in our lives. God says to them in Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. God says, be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with the right hand of my. God is still speaking in Isaiah about upholding them with the right hand of his righteousness, even knowing that they would be rebellious against him. And even in your worst situations, God's hand can uphold and sustain you. Exodus 15:6, it says, your right hand, O Lord, glorious in power, your right hand, O Lord, shatters the enemy. Psalm 136:12-13 says, with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, his love endures forever. To him who divided the Red Sea asunder, his love endures forever. Isaiah 48:13 says, it was my hand that laid the foundations of the earth, my right hand that spread out the heavens. When I call out the stars, they all appear in order. These are things that the Old Testament says God did with his right hand. So I want you to be encouraged that whether it's sovereign, satanic, or self, that God's hand can be upon your life, and you can handle any shift, no matter how strange it may be, when you have the right spiritual transportation. It said the hand of the Lord was upon me. But not only when there are strange shifts, as I said to you on Sunday, will you see spiritual transportation, but you also will see strange locations. Yeah, strange locations. This blessed me because he said this, the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord. Here it is. Notice this strange location. And set me down in the midst of the valley. Now, this is very interesting to me because often we have categorized shifts. Often when you hear about shifts, it's a colloquial expression that typically bespeaks of elevation and promotion. People wait on that shift to happen. But this shift for Ezekiel in 37 was not a shift to a plateau, a zenith, an acra, or an apex. This shift was not even to a mountain, but rather it was to a valley. He says, the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley. What happens when the God of the heavens and earth shifts us, not to a mountainous apex, but shifts us to the valley? The valley here represents danger. The valley represents death. The valley often represents testing. David put it this way, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Many people, we love mountaintop experiences, but we shun being in the valley. Sometimes the shifts of God may seem strange because you'll find yourself in a valley predicament. God doesn't always do his best work on mountaintops. Sometimes strange locations are necessary in order for God to do glorious things in our lives. For Adam, it was a dirt experience. For Noah, it was a flood. For Moses, it was Egypt. For Habakkuk, it was a watchtower. For Jonah, it was the bed of a whale. For Daniel, it was a lion's den. For the Hebrew boys, it was a furnace. For Daniel, for Jeremiah, it was a potter's wheel. For David, it was a cave in the wilderness. And for Elijah, it was a juniper tree. Sometimes a strange location. God will take you to places that you don't want to be. And often in life, as I said on Sunday, many of us shun the strange locations. But often it is in the strange location that God is cultivating faith, developing perspective, and clarifying his will. Often it is in the dark places of life that you find your development. I just want to encourage somebody to not curse the dark places of strange locations of life, because you would not have the revelation of God that you would have if you've never experienced strange locations in life. And so that was a spiritual transportation, that's strange location. But then third, I told you that was a sovereign interrogation. God takes Ezekiel into a valley, dry bones. These bones that have been bleached dry by the unsympathetic Babylonian sun. And God asked Ezekiel a question, a sovereign interrogation. Son of man, can these bones live? Very, very important conversation, because often we don't engage God from the perspective of the interrogative. Sometimes people think that God is not relational, but the scripture speaks of a mutual exchange of conversations with God. All communications with God don't have to be from a standpoint of exclamation or proclamation. Sometimes it can involve interrogation. Sometimes we can go to God with inquisitive conversation. That's what happened. God asked Adam once, where art thou? When he wanted to show Adam had rebelled against God, he asked him a question, where art thou? He asked Cain about his brother Abel. Cain's response was, am I my brother's keeper? He asked Abram and Sarah prior to the birth of Isaac, is there anything too hard for God? He asked Job, where were you when I formed the world? Jesus asked the disciples in John 6, will you also go away and leave me? Brothers and sisters, I want to share with you that theology is not about the ascertaining of answers, but it is about the right revealing of the questions. God involves intimacy. Now, many people think that we shouldn't question God because questioning God is disrespectful. That is because people don't understand that we are relational. God is not just a powerful force. God is also a personal father. As a matter of fact, God would not do to us anything that he does not want us to do to him. God often came to humanity with questions because God also is able to handle our questions. Any God that can't be questioned is a God that can't be trusted. It was Immanuel Kant and Erasmus who both wrote that human beings and Christians and believers can question the nature of God. We can question the nature of God, just don't question the existence of God. That's why the writer says when we come to God, we must believe that he is, and that he is a reward of those who diligently seek him. There's some of you today who've been battling questions, and you're wondering, are those questions the result of your fear, your own finitude, your own frustrations? Sometimes that sorry interrogation that you're hearing can be God trying to clarify something in your life. What I love about this is when Ezekiel gets the question, son of man, can these bones live? He doesn't try to show God how smart he is. He does not try to show God how deep or how revelatory he is. But the one whose name meant strength responds by saying, God, this is your valley. These are your bones. You know, what a powerful lesson. That Ezekiel only gets clarity after he admits his own weakness, what he doesn't know. Too often in the body of Christ, we think we have the answers. Many of us have become Pharisees and the arbiters of everything that's correct in our minds, theological and hermeneutically. What I love about Ezekiel is Ezekiel, who is a prophet of the Lord, who's gifted to be a prophet, understands that his gift can't answer every situation. There'll be moments in life when God asks you something, not for you to show your strength, but for you to relate and rely on him. Why would we need God if we have the answer to every question? Ezekiel says, no, Lord, my name means strength, but I will acquiesce to weakness in order to reveal my limited understanding, because unless you reveal it, I won't be able to live in life. And so today I want to encourage somebody to take your hands off the steering wheel. And if you're one of the ones who has a license plate in front of your car that says God is my co-pilot, please take that license plate off, because God has never been co to nobody. If God is not God of all, God is not God at all. If God is your co-pilot, do me a favor, change seats. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Sometimes life will throw you some sovereign interrogations. But remember this, God said that my people will call by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Stop trying to depression, anxiety, will often creep in because you don't have the answer. But if you had every answer, you wouldn't need God. So won't you acquiesce? Won't you rely and say, God, you know. Oh, I love the song that Paul Jones wrote some years ago. I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days. I won't complain. And the second verse, he says, get this, sometimes the clouds hang low and I can hardly see the road. And I ask the question, Lord, why so much pain? But here's his response. But he knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I may ask the question. God is not intimidated by my question. It doesn't mean that God is obligated to answer. But when you trust that God knows what's best for you, that's the moment when peace can seep into your life. That was a sovereign interrogation. But then lastly, we can see manifestation. When Ezekiel admitted his own weakness about what he was limited in, God says, I tell you what, now you got it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to prophesy to the winds. And I want you to say, Ezekiel, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. What happened for Ezekiel is the moment he admitted his own inadequacy and insufficiency is the moment God gave him the answer. Let me tell you something. God has never asked you to be adequate. So many of us have been intimidated by the enemy and trying to be adequate. God doesn't need you to be adequate. God just needs you to be available. If you make yourself available, God will deal with the adequacies. Sometimes you feel unworthy, low self-esteem. I did this. I came from this situation. I'm not smart enough. I made this mistake. I came from this family. God has never asked you to be adequate. God just wants you to be available. And the moment he admitted his inadequacy was a moment God gives him revelation. Prophesy to the winds and say, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. And guess what? When he began to prophesy to the winds, the bones came together. And not only did the bones come together, they eventually became an exceeding great army, which represented the restoration of that nation of Israel. It represented that Babylon would not have the last word. Babylon would not be the benediction on God bless people. And maybe some of you today feel like you're in your own Babylon and you feel like you're in a strange season in your life. Can I tell you something? God often does his best work in strange places. And I'm here to tell you that with the power of God and the power of faith, and if the will of God be done in your life, you can see manifestation of resurrection and restoration. God can restore years. God can restore joy. God can restore time. God can give you back what you think you've lost. I pray today, as we close this month and the rest of this year out, that God will allow you to see some certain things to manifest in your life that you thought would never happen. As we leave today, and as you're watching today, you may be wondering, how do I find restoration? Well, for Ezekiel and for those ancient Hebrews, restoration for them looked like King Cyrus and the Persians coming to engage in war to overthrow Nebuchadnezzar and those descendants of the Babylonians. Then people of God in the 6th century, restoration for them looked like King Cyrus, who would come in 539 BC. But brothers and sisters, for you and I, we have somebody far greater than King Cyrus. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. And whatever you've done wrong in your life, he's a God of renewal and restoration. He'll come in right now and he'll give you a second chance. Have you ever accepted Christ as the Lord of your life? If not, won't you look at the bottom of the screen and type the word salvation? You can text that number to 678-201-1351. We want to send some things to share with you to help you know how you can have a relationship with the Lord Jesus. Or maybe you want to connect with this ministry, whether you be in Atlanta or Alaska, Decatur or Dubai, Georgia or Ghana. Whether you're in Lithonia or Lagos, Nigeria, whether you're in Sudan or Stone Mountain, Georgia, you can connect with us right now. Just text the word connect to 678-201-1351. Or maybe you just need someone to pray with you. We love to pray with you in those strange places. Know that God took Ezekiel into the valley alone, but you don't have to deal with the strange locations alone. We're here. We want to serve you. Let us serve you. Let us stand and touch and agree with you for whatever you believe in God for in your life. Just text that word prayer to the number 678-201-1351. Then lastly, maybe you want to give. You've been blessed by this message, and you know that those who are taught the word of God should communicate in all good things with the one who teaches. You feel led to be a blessing to the ministry. If this message has blessed you today, and you want to be a blessing to us, we invite you to do that if you so feel led. You can give by text to give. HOHAT is for tithe. HOHAO is for offering. HOHAGF, that's for God first. Information is on the screen. Text those codes to 678-201-1351. You can give by text to give. You can give by Zelle. You can give through the website. Click the giving link on the website and follow the prompts accordingly. Or if you want to give through the P.O. Box, that information is on the screen now as well. So if you've been blessed, give today as God has prospered you. Please, ma'am, please, sir. My friends, I got to leave you now. My time is far spent. But as always, remember this, God is still God, even when that shift may seem strange. And when God takes you, like he did Ezekiel, from strength to weakness, notice that his strength is still perfected in your weakness. God will see you through. Until next time, you can handle the shift because the shift is on.
Crystal, what's going
Glory,
on? We are
nothing.
back. It's me and you again.
Yes.
I mean, who else is going? It's me and you again here to make sure that the people out there watching us know exactly what's going on here at the House of Hope Atlanta. We keep y'all informed, and we want to thank you for actually paying attention to us because y'all could be on your phones, you could be in the bathroom right now. If you're at home, you could definitely be doing anything if you want to. Don't be driving and watching us though, because that's not safe. I'm just saying. But we do definitely want to recognize the fact that the virtual spiritual boot camp, ended recently, and Crystal got something special to say about that, don't you, Crystal? Go ahead, tell me.
We would just like to welcome all of our new members who just completed our virtual spiritual boot camp. Welcome.
That's right. We welcome you because you rocking with us, and you rocked with us so hard that you joined.
Yes.
Ain't that something?
We appreciate
All right, now
you.
this is for all of the virtual viewers because we got a lot of virtual viewers that have joined as well. We have many ways to keep you connected with us. So if you need prayer, all you have to do is do what, Crystal?
Text the word prayer.
Just text it. It's just that easy. If you want to become saved, what you got to do, Crystal?
Text the word salvation.
That's it. That's all you got to do. And if you want to become a member of the House of Hope Atlanta, so you can go through the virtual spiritual boot camp too and become an official member, you text what?
Connect.
To what number, Crystal?
678-201-1351.
I could take Pat Sajak's place, and you could be the new Vanna. You be Vanna Black because she's Vanna White. You could be
Vanna
Crystal.
Caramel.
Okay, go ahead, Crystal, because you just
Anyway, join the Seasoned Saints on Saturday, August 19th to Trillith Studios. Interesting, right? This is an adventure to tour a Trillith Studios film and movie production in Fayette County, Georgia. At a cost of $25 per person, all you have to do is text the word studio to 678-201-1351, or you can check on the church's website to register.
You think they're gonna get to be like in a scene? Or
Probably not.
Shoot a couple.
They might be extras though. It could happen.
I don't think they're going there to be extras, but they're going to tour the studio.
Yeah.
That's what she's talking about. So we need all men and women to join the Men and Women of Hope for a combined fellowship on Saturday, August 19th at 8 a.m. in the Hope Center. What's the Hope? Is that the atrium?
Just read the thing.
Okay. This will be a session for men and women to speak on what males and females need from each other. Join us for this time of fellowship and fun with a discussion with a theme of I have needs. Now, if you need more information, it should be on the church website. Then you can find out what the Hope Center. I think that's find out what the Hope Center is by going to the website, because I don't. The Hope Center
Don't-
is
it
that the atrium?
The Men of Hope, in collaboration with the Health and Wellness Ministry, will host the Real Talk, Real Men Conversation. This monthly discussion will be facilitated by the African Male Wellness Agency on Thursday, August 24th at 6 o'clock p.m. Atrium is the location. Now, these conversations will empower men to understand how prevention can provide them with longer life.
And then we've been talking about this for a minute, and technically they gave us a date of the 30th, but I'm gonna say it again anyway because these kids need this item. So the college and outreach ministries are still requesting your help to replenish the personal goods pantry. So as you know, the college kids are going back to school. It's the new school year. We are in need of toiletry items, trial size if possible, for men, women, and for unisex use. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, feminine products, and soap, to name a few. There's a full list of items on the church website, and even if you don't see that list anymore, I don't care, bring them. Toiletry items may be dropped off to the church Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5, or in person here at the Vortex or the theater. So make sure you do that. And there are also collection bins available, and if you don't even see a collection bin, find somebody, a deacon or somebody, and give it to
drop
them,
it off.
because these kids need these items.
They
I'm
need
just
it.
saying.
Yes.
If you need more information, email member@gtrbc.org.
All veterans and their families are invited to attend a monthly Veteran Segway on the third Tuesday of each month from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This meeting will consist of special guests who will share vital information to veterans and their families, and also fellowship with other veterans. To participate in this virtual meeting, please text the word Segway to 678-201-1351. Now, Veteran Segway will be on the third Tuesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. So I don't know why I just repeated that, but again, text the word Segway to 678-201-1351.
Because people don't remember stuff the first time. You got to say it a few
That's
more
true.
times.
So that's
You see
why
what
I
I'm saying?
did that.
That's right. And just like some of y'all haven't remembered that we've been talking about this invitation situation. Some of y'all have not
was cute how
invited.
you just rolled it.
You
That's
see how I did
good.
that?
Yeah,
You
I
see
like
what I did
that.
there?
I like that.
Some of you have not invited anybody to this great church, and I know you can't be just soaking up all the great work,
goodness.
the good worship, the
And
good
the
praise,
word.
and the good word by
Share.
yourself.
You should
That's
share.
right. Share it with a
Yes.
coworker, share it with a friend, share it with a neighbor, share it with anybody, a family member. So make sure that you let people know all year long. We want them to be invited. Invite them to this good old vortex so they can get this good. They can jump into this good praise. that
stingy
we've
with
been
the
having.
Lord. Don't be stingy with the Lord.
Stingy with the
Share
Lord.
him.
And if you have any issues, maybe you're like, I don't know how to get that conversation started. I don't know how to invite somebody. You can go to our website. There are many resources and tools that will actually help you to get that conversation started. And if you invite a guest, those visitors that we have, guess what? We got a whole little booth set up for you with some special things, special gifts for you just for coming. So please make sure that you keep inviting your friends, your family, your coworkers all year long.
Okay.
Well, you know what, Crystal?
What?
We done.
What?
We have nothing else.
Okay.
We have nothing. That is our time for today. But remember that life with God is better in every way, every day. Be blessed.
blessed.
Now, Crystal,
Yes.
we've been talking about this invitation. We've been saying, hey, invite somebody.
Right.
And, it's been going on since. How long have we been doing the invitation?
Some months.
So at this point, this thing should be packed out, don't you think?
Well,
to
it
the point
kinda
where you
is
think
a little bit.
It is a little bit. Y'all gonna have to get this balcony, situation so we can get the people. Because once these invitees start really coming like
Yeah.
they supposed to,
Right.
we gonna need more space or whatever. Y'all gonna knock some of these walls down or something and get some more.
We gotta go.
Well,
I ain't trying to cut you off or nothing,
I'm
but
telling
hurry it
the
up.
well, it's Pastor Smith coming after us, and he can talk a lot longer than me.
We not him.
I'm just, but
This
he
is
gonna
church.
say a lot more than I just did. I'm just
Everybody.